Hello, you're welcome to today's video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some aspects of connected speech. Specifically, we're going to be looking at some processes during fast and spontaneous speech. What do we mean by processes? We are talking about some activities that take place when you are speaking fast. Okay, now such activities would involve skipping of some sounds, the merging of some sounds within words or within word boundaries, and also the changing of some sounds as a result of their proximity to some specific sounds. Now, such processes often make it difficult to detect, okay, where a word begins and where a word ends. Also, such processes makes a difference between the adult native speaker and a robot or a second language learner of a particular language. Now we're going to begin with the process of assimilation. Assimilation refers to when two neighboring sounds become similar. Okay, now the similarity is either partial or the similarity is total or complete. Now there are several things we must take note of when we are studying or where we're trying to understand the process of assimilation. Now the first area is the fact that the preceding sound could affect a particular sound. Okay, now when that happens, we say that assimilation is progressive. Alternatively, the following sound could affect a particular sound. When that happens, we say that assimilation is regressive. Okay, so we have progressive assimilation when the preceding sound affects. We have regressive assimilation when the following sound affects a particular sound. Okay, so we also have the fact that when a sound has been affected, that sound is called the conditioned sound. Okay, so the sound being affected by neighboring sound is called the conditioned sound, while the sound that is affecting is called the conditioning sound. So we have the conditioned sound, we have the conditioning sound. Okay, so we also have assimilation of place, we have assimilation of voice, and we have assimilation of manner. We want to reiterate that sounds can merge, that is coalesce, amalgamate, sounds can be reordered, okay? Sounds can also become nasalized as a result of the fact that they are placed beside or adjacent of a vowel, okay? So these are some processes that could occur with regard to the process of assimilation. Now we're going to look at a few examples. Look at that example over there. You have that person, okay? That person. You also have right back. I will be right back. Okay, now you will notice that in spontaneous speech, what you're going to perceive actually is that person or right back. We'll discover that the voiceless alveolar plosive at the end of the first word is completely and totally assimilated to the voiceless bilabial plosive, such that we will perceive that person and right back. Now, an example of partial assimilation is in the phrase 10 boys. Now, what we're going to hear in fast and connected speech is 10 boys. Okay, now we'll discover that the nasal sound at the end of 10, the alveolar nasal sound at the end of 10, takes on the bilabiality of the following sound in the word boys. So here 10 boys instead of 10 boys. Okay, so now moving forward, we want to quickly look or want to mention some other aspects of assimilation, because we have assimilation types. We have coalescence, like I said earlier on, where two sounds merge, the amalgamation of two sounds in phrases like meet you becomes meet you, or could you becomes could you. Okay, so we see where the sounds are merging at word boundaries. We also have vowel nasalization. Now, vowel nasalization is the last assimilatory type we will be looking at. Okay, now this has to do with the fact that a vowel sound takes on the nasal feature of an adjacent nasal. Now, we have that in words like been, or mean, or tin. Now, before you are done articulating the vowel sound, the articulators quickly take on the nasal features of the adjacent nasal sound. Hence, vowel nasalization process occurs. Now, we've looked at vowel nasalization, coalescence, consonant assimilation, and all of that. They are all assimilatory processes. Now, we have a few non-assimilatory processes. For example, we have epenthesis. Now, epenthesis has to do with vowel insertion. Okay, it is common in the speech of second language learners. Okay, now specifically in English, there appears to be some difficulty in the pronunciation of certain cluster types. So such individuals insert vowels to break up cluster types, such that instead of hearing them say snake, we could hear them say snake, or instead of hearing them say shrine, we could hear them saying shirine, or instead of hearing them say blue, we may hear them say bulu. Okay, but there is an instance of vowel insertion in words like answer. Okay, when there is an insertion of the voiceless alveolar plosive, answer, or France. Now, you hear this most often in the speech of native speakers. Okay, so vowel insertion, or what is called epenthesis, is a non-assimilatory process. Moving forward, another aspect of connected speech is vowel deletion, or what is referred to as deletion, where a vowel sound is deleted during spontaneous speech. Okay, but this could take place either at the beginning of a word or at the end of a word. When it takes place at the beginning of a word, it is referred to as a phasis. Okay, in an example like around, about, allow. Okay, so at the beginning of these words, a vowel is weakened to the point that it is deleted. Okay, this happens most especially in the speech of native speakers. Now, elision can also take place at the middle of a word. Now, this is what is referred to as syncope. Syncope. Now, in a word like police or believe. Now, the process of metathesis is another non-assimilatory process. Now, this process involves the readjustment of sounds such that the sound is partially transformed. Not completely, but partially. Sounds are swapped, sounds are rearranged within a word. Now, we have this commonly in the speech of non-native speakers of English, or even at times in native speakers of English during fast and connected speech. For example, we have the word fixed, which could be pronounced as fisked. Okay, we also have the word umbrella, which could be pronounced as umbrella. Okay, we also have the word asked, which can be pronounced as asked. So we can see that there is a swapping of sound to produce a partially different word. An example of vowel linkage is in the phrase here and there. Okay, but in fast connected speech, we are most likely to perceive here and there. we have used the approximant rule at the end of the first word to link the vowels together. So we hear here and there. That is an example of vowel linkage. But when it comes to vowel intrusion, we are importing the approximant rule from elsewhere to link up the vowels, okay? In a phrase like way of truth, in fast and connected speech, we're most likely to hear way of truth, way of truth, okay, where we see the R being inserted in the first word, where originally it doesn't have the approximant rule. Now, we have been able to look at these few aspects of connected speech, which would include assimilation, and we had a few types of assimilation processes like coalescence and vowel nasalization. Okay, then we also looked at vowel insertion and also looked at vowel deletion. And finally, we have looked at what we refer to as liaison, not forgetting that we also made mention of the process of metathesis. Thank you for watching. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you later.